let's make sure we're live everywhere before we actually go live. Here we go. Um, that doesn't seem to be working yet. That's not good. All right, how about... Oh, there it is. Okay, let's check Insta. Okay, let's come back here. Go live. And... All right, so we are live everywhere. This is probably going to be a short stream today because there's not much going on in the travel world. It's kind of quiet this week, but that usually means there's going to be a lot of good stuff next week. So just hang in there with me. There are a couple things. There's a couple Universal announcements that came out this week, and I put them aside to make sure that where'd it go? Dang it! Let me check my other mailbox. Maybe it came to my personal one. And it would be... I pinned it. Here we go. All right. Holidays at Universal Orlando are going to be from November 22nd to December 31st. They haven't done much except release dates, but I know that the characters are usually wandering the park. I know the Grinch and the Who's are out. I know you can do breakfast with the Grinch. As I mentioned a week or so ago, the Macy's Parade balloons and floats head to Orlando afterwards and become part of their holiday celebration parade. And I know there's going to be a lot more cool holiday stuff from all the destinations because all the destinations get in on the holidays. If we're talking holiday, if you have a Gaylord resort near you, DC, Florida, Texas, and I forget where the fourth one is. I want to say Nashville. They do the Awesome Ice events. They are, if you have not been to one and you have the opportunity to go, you really need to go. They are amazing. You get these big, big puffy parkas. Make sure you take a hat and earmuffs and gloves. If you're going with a friend, make sure your friend has a phone that can take good pictures as well because the last time we went, the phone got too cold and shut off. So if you're going with a friend, take, pick like first half, second half, and take pictures with one phone for the first half, and then put it in your pocket. Pull out the one that's been warmed against your body. Take pictures for the second half. There is usually, well, not usually, there's always a holiday theme. Some of the ones I've seen in the past, I have not seen that they've announced the ones for this year yet, but Charlie Brown Christmas, Frosty, The Night Before Christmas, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and I want to say there was another one that I am not remembering. The other thing they do, at least at the DC one, that is kind of cool, as you go through, there's like ice slides you can go down, and there are big tunnels, and there's ice in all different colors. Oh, Christmas in New York City. The first year we went, it was Christmas in New York City. So there was like an ice taxi cab that you could sit in and get a picture of you sitting in the taxi cab that's all carved out of ice. It's not all clear ice. There's lots of bright colors. There's when we the year we did Twas the Night Before Christmas, they had quotes from the book, like actual like quotes with like fancy fonts and stuff, and done in the tunnels. So like you're walking down the tunnel and there's this thing sticking out, and it's like a white frosted background with black lettering on it, and it turns out to be a quote from the storybook. Of course, the year they had Frosty, they had Frosty. I've seen them do the Grinch. All the iconic Christmas figures, holiday figures are done and done very well. They're usually done in bright colors. Santa's coat is a very deep red, very bright Christmassy red. They had the train from Frosty the year we went. They had an actual like two-car train carved all out of ice. It is quite a feat to see and experience firsthand if you can do it. And then at least when we go to do it at Gaylord National outside of DC, they always have a room at the end. And I don't know if they do these at the others because I haven't been to one of the others. It's on my bucket list to go out of state and do one. Just to kind of see if they do the same thing. I would think they do, but I don't want to assume that because you know what happens when you assume. But in the DC one, they have a nativity scene that is all clear ice, carved totally out of clear ice, and it's like 30 figures. It's not little. It's quite large. And that's the last room you walk through before you go back out into regular temperatures. It is, I believe, a balmy 5 degrees. Might be 7, but I think it's 5 inside the area. You can stay in it as long as you want, but once you exit, you're done. So yeah, bundle up so you get those couple extra minutes. You can also do, usually they have gingerbread decorating, they have cookies and hot chocolate available. There's usually some other holiday um, events. Some of them have snow tubing. I know when we used to do the one in DC, they would have, they had these awesome glass Christmas trees suspended from the ceiling. If you've ever, been in the store and you see like an artificial tree that's suspended from the ceiling, it was like that, but it was actually like a stained glass tree. I can't imagine what kind of things they had to use to hold that up securely. And maybe it wasn't, maybe somehow they made it lighter than it looked. Um, but it was quite impressive. So there are all those cool things. And don't forget, if you're doing that and you're in a city you don't usually get to, check out a nice restaurant or, support some local shops, see what other kind of Christmas things they have going on. They might have a Christmas light thing. You can walk through or drive through. There's lots of stuff you can do. And, you don't always have to take a trip. You can do it as a day trip. You can do it, I mean, for me, I'm like an hour and a half outside of DC. So for me, I really could like go over at 1, stay till like 4:30, 5 o'clock, have an early dinner, and then, be back on the highway before dark, or at dark, maybe after dark, depending on what time of year I went. But still, it's not far. It's not even really a day trip. When we used to do it, we used to go over and do it at like 1, 2 o'clock, and then have lunch, and then walk around. There's a Peep store over there. And there were a couple other cool stores. We used to walk through the shops, and then we used to head back home. So we were home in time to order pizza and watch a movie. Do family movie night. So you might not have a Gaylord. Maybe you're close to Hershey Park. You can do Christmas at Hershey. Um, Maybe we also have like a drive-through lights thing around me, where it benefits the local hospital, and it's like a 2 mile light display you can drive through, and one of the local AM stations partners with them, and you can do Christmas music, and they give you little trivia facts about some of the light displays between songs. So there's lots of things you can do. And why am I mentioning this in July when it is very hot out? I'm mentioning it because this is the time of year that you want to start kind of putting, what are these things do I want to do so that you can kind of keep checking the websites every couple weeks and make sure that you get tickets for the night that you really want, or, you jump through those hoops and make it happen this year. So, um, there's of course always Disney destinations. We talked about Universal for Christmas. Um, you know, Cruising for Christmas is always, I've heard, a fun thing. I know that the Disney ships are full of extra holiday magic. I'm sure the other cruise lines do holiday things too, but I haven't researched them. So I don't want to say, I don't want to give you wrong information, but I am sure there are other holiday things that you can do. One of the things that's on my holiday bucket list is the tour that Viking River Cruises does of the European Christmas markets. Um, that sounds just awesome to me. I love but see, I love Christmas markets. I love the little, the stuff the high schools and the colleges do in like between Thanksgiving and Christmas, where they do the craft fairs and the churches and I love all of that. But that's just me. If you have a different destination in mind, I'm sure there is a cruise out there for those of you that just want to lay on the beach at a nice resort and be pampered. Can I recommend it all inclusive? For those of you who vacation like I do, and it sort of could be a reality show endurance challenge, 4 parks 1 day. Um, you can do a resort, you can do a theme park. You might even just want to, does your aunt or your mom or your grandmother have that? Oh, I've always wanted to go to that quilting festival in the fall. That would make an awesome present, even if they get their present before the holidays. And it's not too early or late. It's a good time to look at those things. It's a good time to look at stuff for the fall. Halloween. Um, we have Halloween at most locations. We also have food and wine starting in Epcot. And then food and wine will close and festival holidays will open. So if you want to do Disney World, it's a good time. If you want to go somewhere else, somewhere you want to explore somewhere new, you want to revisit somewhere you haven't been in a while, you have that relative you've been meaning to see, and it's finally, life is finally back to normal enough you can do it. Don't wait, do some of that stuff. You never know what's going to happen, how things are going to change, and um, you don't want to regret. So if you can make it happen this year, make it happen. If you can make it happen again next year, so much the better. Speaking of things you can't control, how about that Microsoft glitch that's taking down some of the airports, some of the credit card processing companies, some of the banks? I heard Starbucks was having trouble. I've also seen that in some cases things have been resolved, but not everything has been resolved. I know all the airports in New York were shut down earlier today. I'm not sure if they're opening back up. Um, but it can be a little crazy. Days like today are when it's a good time to have a travel agent. Days like today are also a good time to have a travel insurance policy, because trip delays are covered on a lot of policies. So if you were supposed to take off at 9 o'clock this morning and now you're not taking off till 9 o'clock tonight, there is probably a trip delay reimbursement in your travel insurance if you got it. What else does travel insurance cover, you might ask? Trip delays, lost luggage, transportation issues, your shuttle of the private car you booked, if they have issues getting to you for whatever reason, that may be covered. The specifics vary by policy and situation, and I don't want to mislead anybody, but there are a lot of things a travel insurance plan will cover that you don't think of. If you're going to a theme park or an event and you don't make it because your flight is delayed, things like your ticket costs are quite possibly covered. There are a lot of little things that go into your trip that add up when you have to replace them, and oftentimes you might be just a hair surprised at what a plan covers. So think about that for your next trip. Um, okay, so one of the other questions I get is, how far out should I book my trip? This is a common question. How far in advance should I book my trip? And it kind of depends on where you're going. Cruise lines and destinations like Walt Disney World, the prices tend to go up as rooms, be they cruise ship rooms, staterooms, or rooms in resorts. The fewer there are, the more the prices tend to go up. If you want something, while we're still talking about Disney World, and this is even true somewhat for Disneyland, if you want a certain kind of room at a certain resort for a certain date, for example, you want to do one of the themed rooms at the Polynesian during Christmas week, or you have a group of 12 and you know you need a villa that's at least a three-bedroom villa. You want to book those as soon as those dates open up if you can, because you want to have the best selection possible. And that's also one of those things where the price tends to rise as they start to book. You also don't want it to be something where you can't get the kind of room you want because you waited too long to book. So instead of having a three-bedroom villa where you're all together, you're all at a moderate or a deluxe resort and you have like two of you have connecting rooms and then your third person is across the hall or something like that. Um, so while you don't, a lot of the sweet spot for a lot of people seems to be about 6 months out, which would put us basically in the frame of anything through the end of the year. So if you're traveling for New Year's, Christmas, Thanksgiving, anything in between. One of my favorite weeks to travel is the week of Veterans Day because, especially if you're going to a destination like a theme park, they are already decorating for the holiday season. I'm sure that's true of a lot of other places too. So you don't get to see everything, but you do get to see a lot of things. Uh, if you're going home to see people for Christmas and you just want, um, the nice local B&B or the nice local, the local hotel that does a nice job. You probably don't have to be as pressed to book that one. But if you're going to any kind of destination, 6 weeks. No, let's try that again. 6 months is really when you want to start looking at booking, solidifying your dates, solidifying your options, and probably putting a deposit down. Disney packages, it's usually $200. Other destinations, it's a percentage of what your trip actually costs. But 6 months is definitely the time you want to look into it, get some solid numbers, and get a deposit down. Um, the other thing is you have to book airfare in some cases, and that can be pricey. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, what if I wait to get a deal? Okay, if you're booking a Disney destination, maybe an all inclusive, you're working with a travel agent. Part of their job should be to watch those deals and apply those deals to your booking if they can. So if you book Disney World and a new promo comes out and you're eligible for it, your agent should apply that. That's one of the perks of having an agent. And then I had a client I did it for last year. It was, early December. She was at the local football game. The NFL team was in town, and she came home and thawed herself out. And oh my gosh, there's an email that's like, you just saved on your trip. Um, so that's one of the things you can do. I mean, and you can. I don't want to say you can always wait and get a deal. I am going to say there's almost always something out there as long as it's not like Thanksgiving week, Christmas week, New Year's week. They really do book up quick. But if you're going just a standard weekend in, October or November, you can probably find something. Is it going to be what you really wanted? Maybe, maybe not. If you know what you really want, then book it early so you're sure you have it. Okay, soapbox away, lecture done. Um, I know it's been hot, hot, hot in a lot of the country this week. So if you're in one of those hot, hot, hot spots, please stay cool. My hot, hot, hot spot has thawed out a little bit. So it's still warm. It's still definitely summer, but it's a little more palatable at the moment. So I hope everybody stays safe, stays healthy, stays cool. And I will see you next week for more travel news you can use. Have a great week, everybody.